Hello, and welcome to yet another completely unprofessional interview, the only tabletop RPG interview show that guarantees that not a single hand was hurt during the filming of this video. And we have a special guest with us today who is not laughing at my joke. But the special guest today is someone that I feel needs no introduction.
First question.
It is Bud from Bud's RPG Review and Bud and Griffs. God, why am I always trying to blank on that?
This is the power of research, Scott.
I know.
You've been on my podcast. How can you
I
not
know
it?
I have. Bud
Bud
and Griffs
Gaming Creep Show.
Gaming Creep Show. Yes.
No,
there
not
we go.
Gaming Creep Show. Gaming Creep Show.
Gaming Creep Show. Yes, there we
Yeah.
go. And a short-lived zine channel, which was fun. Okay, sorry. this interview's over, huh?
Yeah. I told you we're going to talk about the zine channel.
But,
is it zine? I don't know.
Okay. Yes. So we have Bud from Bud's RPG Review here today with us to have a little in-depth interview. I'm sure many of you are aware of who Bud is, but I do feel that some of you may not be aware of the man himself. I know you've been on, a few podcasts and other channels and done little bits of interviews here and there, and you provided little snippets of your past and who you are, but never really too much detail beyond that. Now, I know a lot of it because, we've been friends, going on 3 or 4 years now, I would say. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. And so, I know a bit about your past that we've shared, but I'll be honest that even when it comes to some of your gaming past, it's still not, there's still little snippets here and there that I'm not aware of. So we're going to go through the typical thing that tends to be done. We're going to ask you, what was your introduction to role-playing games? We'll go through a bit of your history beyond that. We'll spend a good 4, maybe 5 hours doing therapy regarding Thousand Thrones, and then we'll move into discussing your YouTube channel and carry on from there. So I'm allowed to mention it once, right? According to
one time.
According to your writer. So but yeah, so but for those of you who obviously if you're living under a rock and you don't know the Bud himself, but you're aware of his channel, this is the man himself, the voice and the pair of hands who has provided many years of RPG interviews, opinions, and a very popular guides towards some of the games out there that he enjoys. I think the Masks of Nyarlathotep is widely popular and used, and I know this not just by by commentary, but by the views and just by word of mouth. I mean, I know people who have mentioned to me in person that this is my go-to. Anytime I go to a new place, I use it as a reference before I go into and prep for the game. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
I suffered so they didn't have to.
Exactly. So I mean, it is
right. It's right.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yep, right there. No, there. Oh, perfect. But anyways, so let's go ahead and go back in time a eensy weensy bit, and we'll start with your introduction. How old were you, and what was it that brought you into the world of gaming?
I mean, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't brought in like for most people. It seems to be Redbox D&D.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people I know it was Redbox D&D, but that wasn't my route into fantasy gaming or any type of game. And my route into it was choose your own adventure. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember for one birthday I'd received. There used to be a chain of like stores in the UK called Woolworths.
Oh wow! Okay.
And they were one of them ones that sold like records and cassettes and books and magazines, that kind of store. And there was one close to where I used to live. And I remember going in there on this specific birthday and seeing the Seven Serpents, which was book 3 of Steve Jackson Sorcery. I couldn't tell you which Steve Jackson, but Steve Jackson Sorcery. And I looked at it, and then I moved on, but I kept on coming back to it and looking at it, and then that was the moment I decided I'm gonna buy that from you. Use my Woolworths voucher, and I bought it,
Mhm.
not knowing it was book 3 in the series instead of book 1. So I took it home, and it just engrossed me for
Mhm.
months. And from then I moved on, bought the others in the series, and then it was Lone Wolf moved on to after that.
Oh,
Joe
okay.
Diva and Gary Chalk.
Mhm.
And even to the point where I wrote to Joe Diva when I was a kid. Um, and then that's kind of how I went for years. And then when I went to
Okay.
school, it was in secondary school. A friend of mine at the time, Mark Kay, to put into context,
Mhm.
at that time in the UK, there was lots of teacher strikes, and sometimes you wouldn't know whether your teacher was on strike
Okay.
till you got to the lesson. So I went to the lesson. We all turned up. There was no teacher there. Most people got off and left.
Mhm.
And Mark turned to me and my little friend group and said, "Do you fancy playing some D&D?" And we were like, "Okay then." So we played like this little mock-up game that he did, and it was great.
Mm.
I'd never done anything like it before. We didn't have dice. We drew numbers on bits of paper and folded them and made a little cup and pulled the numbers out. And then not long after that, he turned up at school and said, "Do you want to play an actual real game?" And he pulled out RuneQuest Second Edition,
Uh-oh.
and then we were hooked from that.
Yeah.
That and my little friend group, we were hooked. We used to just the summer holidays were like they were like 7 to 8 weeks of just every day. If I wasn't out playing football or whatever,
Mhm.
I was playing RuneQuest with my friends. And then as time passed by, you drift apart and things like that. But that was not before um, I bought Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Mhm.
The first book I ever bought with my own money, and I actually still have the book, the same book that I bought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's held together by tape and stubborn understains, but it is held together. Um, and that was kind of it for me. I moved on to other games from there. We played many other things like Judge Dredd. We were into board games. This is a time when Games Workshop were doing great board games
Mhm.
like Judge Dredd, the Judge Dredd game, Rogue Trooper,
Yeah.
Chaos Marauders. Um, yeah, and that's kind of my beginnings. It was from just
Mhm.
a chance visit to a Woolworths
Yeah.
and seeing the Seven Serpents.
Well, I'm one thing that's people may not know about you that I do, but you do share it a lot in your videos is it seems to me that you are, if it's a game that you like, not only are you engrossed in the lore, but you seem to have quite the encyclopedic memory of it all in regards to things like RuneQuest and Warhammer, but amongst other games. And was this something that, there's a lot of RuneQuest aficionados out there and people who are fans of the game, but did you spend a lot of time engrossed in this lore, or was this just something that just came along progressively as you were playing these various games as you were playing within them?
Um, the short answer is no.
Okay.
Um, we played RuneQuest Second Edition with no care for the lore whatsoever.
Oh wow. Okay.
As I said, I think it was on the Grognard files. We thought Detect Silver was a spell for finding treasure. We didn't know. We didn't. It didn't click to us in any way that it was something to do with the Red Goddess
Hmm.
because that's their coinage. That's why they're called Lunas.
Right.
And it's silver like the moon.
Hmm.
Although it is a red moon. Yeah, we had no care for it. It was only kind of when I reached my 20s maybe that
Hmm.
the lore started becoming something I became really interested in.
Right.
And I mean, if you think I know a lot about RuneQuest, and if you think people like Nick Brook, I mean, he clearly does know a lot about
Yeah.
RuneQuest,
I mean,
you'd have to speak to my friend Mark.
okay.
He's like the guy to Glorantha brought to life.
Oh wow. Okay.
He knows everything, and he can always and it always fascinated me when I'd say like not unknowingly like does my god like their god, and he'd be like, well, yes and no. Everything was always a yes and no. Oh, is my god related to theirs? Yeah, your god is her mother and sister.
Hmm.
Like what? It's just RuneQuest lore is so odd.
Yeah.
Warhammer lore, I felt like with Warhammer lore, I got in the door early because I bought it when it came out,
Right.
and it's always something that stuck with me
Hmm.
because I bought this monster book at the time and just dived into it and absorbed it. And
Hmm.
I mean. I do the Explain series
Yeah.
with things like, um, and the next one's going to be the Skaven.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna delve into Warhammer a bit for that. I mean, I've done a couple of RuneQuest. I'm going to do more RuneQuest and more Delta Green as they come along, but people seem to like them,
Hmm.
and I get it because I'm a fan of the lore myself.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting to see that, because I mean, I do watch quite a few of the YouTube videos, and of course listen to the podcast shows and whatnot, and maybe there is a lot of them out there. I just don't see a lot of them, but as you know, a majority of the role playing videos out there are going to be actual plays.
Mhm.
There's not an overabundance of those who is there to give you support of the game lore itself or the setting. There's people that will give you a general synopsis and here's how you
Mm,
play the game. But there's very few out there that kind of goes deep into, like Bud explains. Um, you know, uh, Jordan, the PH is silent is one of the ones that I can think of that
mm.
spent a lot of his original career doing the Forgotten Realms lore and very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So I think that was probably, um, you know, even though you weren't doing it, it's just you weren't providing just a very simple basic review. You were giving a look into the game itself and giving a good explanation for those who weren't aware of it, and then provided your insight and commentary and your final judgment at the end. And that's what essentially one of the things that I picked up when I first discovered your videos. But it's rare to see people who provide this information, but it's also people who do it with care because they enjoy the lore, they enjoy the game. I mean, obviously, RuneQuest is a big part of yourself, and likewise Warhammer. I don't think there's any moment where I've heard you pause, or weren't too sure about certain information like that. So I think that's great that those kind of things exist, and I wish there were more of them out there. Uh,
Do you know what's funny though? Because
mhm.
if I was to be honest, I've played more AD&D than anything else.
Well, that's
It's
that's
just
something that
something I don't really talk about that much.
right. I mean, you've done a couple little butt explains regarding the
The Dark
mhm.
Sun,
Right.
and the Dragon King and Queens of Athas,
Hmm.
which is something I always found fascinating, and I did the Circle of Eight.
Right.
I'm always looking at other things to do for
Hmm.
D&D, but the problem you kind of get is some things change and become defunct.
Yeah.
With the Circle of Eight one, because Greyhawk's essentially a dead setting,
Hmm.
with the exception of Mordenkainen or
Right.
Mordenkainen or however you pronounce it.
Right.
Um, with the exception of him, you can kind of draw a line under what you can tell people about them.
Hmm.
Because obviously Mordenkainen is in
Fifth Ed.
spoiler, he's in
Yeah.
Ravenloft.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, and obviously with Dark Sun again, a dead setting
Hmm.
with a well established lore. Um, but yeah, I do enjoy doing the lore videos. I would
Hmm.
probably like to do more D&D ones
Hmm.
if I could.
Right.
Um, but I think in some respect, D&D people are more like, well, actually, than RuneQuest people, and that's saying something.
Well, your D&D ones were, meticulous in their presentation, and I think that's why several people gravitated towards them. Because I remember when the Circle of Eight came out, I threw it on the OSR, Facebook
Oh yeah,
group, and a lot of positive responses about that. It's just like, oh wow, this is great. This is something that that I haven't seen before, or this is something that I'm going to go ahead and bookmark. We're going to have more of these, and I don't think anyone ever kind of gave it an actually in regards to that, but I didn't check it every day. But
You hear my daughter singing in the background?
no,
Well,
no.
let me just close this door.
Okay, no problem.
Oh my God, it's gone. He must be being really loud. Um, yeah, I mean, there are certain other things I would like to do. I would like to have
Mhm,
done a video on that.
mhm.
I'm going to annoy people. This it's either I us, yours, or yours.
It's fine.
I'd like to do a video on the evil demigod to the north of Greyhawk,
Okay.
because there's loads of good information and he's interesting to read about.
Mhm,
But by the same measure, how useful is it to people? I did the Circle of Eight because I felt it was something I had to get off my chest, something I
mhm.
wanted to do.
Right.
I would do more D&D lore stuff. It just depends
Mhm.
on your audience. I mean, with the Delta Green stuff,
Yeah.
people lap it up. They
Oh, yeah.
love it because learning the law is hard.
Especially in Delta Green. I mean, there's no shortage of it. And it's quite a bit of a study to get through what
Mm,
what Arc Dream has presented in their books, and it can be a tough go. And you start, and I know we're getting sidetracked here, but also you do suddenly realize that, oh, all these little Photoshop tidbits that are on the side page, and that I thought is just background noise. No, this is important to what you're reading too. So you got to start
yeah.
paying attention to that. But backing up just a tad, so yeah, so you did bring up that a majority of the games you played in was AD&D, and so
Mm.
that was something that you played with your group for a while. You did, I forget, did you run or play the famous Night Below campaign?
I've done
Um,
both.
okay, so you've done
I
both.
played it and ran it. I ran it after I'd played it.
Hmm.
One of the best campaigns ever.
And so did you primarily exist or play within the Greyhawk setting, as
Um,
far as what you were doing within there? And
no,
likewise, you did Dark Sun too, but
I think the first time when I played it, we did it in the
mhm,
Forgotten Realms. When I ran it,
okay,
I did it in Greyhawk.
okay,
Yeah, because it's a system. Well, you couldn't run it in Dark Sun, but
no,
it's a system. It's a setting neutral
hmm,
um game as well. And spoilers, there's no drow in it, so you don't have the mess that is the drow from Forgotten Realms.
right,
I mean,
right,
I know
yeah,
Greyhawk has the city of Arelhi Sinlu, but
mm-hmm.
that's a different thing entirely.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know what Arelhi Sinlu was, did you?
No, of course not. But still, like any good interviewer,
Campaigns the spiders.
yes. Moving on. Um, and then that's when I yell at my stagehand. Why didn't you prepare me better? You made me look like an asshole. Uh, uh, okay, so your your game pedigree grows, right? You found some things that you absolutely love and adore. You're playing for several years.
Mhm.
Were there any games during that time that you discovered? And I'm not referencing the one that we were talking about earlier, but was there something? And I don't
Well,
mean to badmouth.
you won't let it be.
No, I just push those buttons until we get a
I
reaction.
know, Moses.
But was there anything in there as you're playing? Because I mean, you're playing what you enjoy. But was there something that you discovered during that time? Just like, no, no, I'm not going to play this. Or is there something that you saw like, well, I'm going to try to fix this? Did you ever do any tinkering or tweaking within the games that you were playing? Because primarily you're playing in published settings
Mhm.
and adventures and whatnot.
Um, I'm gonna upset people now.
That's why I'm doing this video.
I played Traveller and hated every second I played it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Um, Bored me to the point of self-harm.
Mhm.
Um, this was the first edition of Traveller, to be
Okay.
fair. I don't know it's
Okay.
moved on since then,
Mhm.
but when it's a hump you can't get over,
Yes.
that's kind of how I feel about Traveller. Also, anything cyberpunk just turns me right off.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
I I'm not interested in cyberpunk. I was never interested in Shadowrun. I
Mhm.
just don't care for that kind of thing. It's either got to be go full fantasy,
Mhm.
full real world, or full sci-fi for me. And then I always feel those kind of games are kind of weird hybrids of things stuck together, or not quite one thing, or trying to be something that's unrealistic, as
Mhm.
realistic as you can be in,
Yeah.
in a hobby with giant red bats with goddesses flying on them.
So yeah, so you've discovered and you're playing these games, and how, I mean, how old were you at this time? I mean, as you're discovering these games, are you still a
I was a
teenager?
teenager, yeah.
Okay. So was there a period at a certain point which hits some of us? Did you where you had to put the dice on the shelf, so to speak? And did your
Mhm.
gaming ever hit a hump or a lull?
I stopped gaming for about 4 years,
Hmm.
I'd say. I'll leave it with, like, girls were involved.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I lost interest for a large amount of time,
Hmm.
and when I gained the interest back, I gained it with a plum. Kind of
What
well,
was that?
look around. That's the kind of bank account I reckon a plum that, you
Yeah.
know yeah. So, yeah, I had only about 4 years, I think it was. I think it was
Hmm.
between two 2000, no, maybe 5 years, 2000 to 2005, I think.
Okay.
Think. Although there might have been a little bit where I played in the middle of that, but I can't really remember.
Hmm.
Got a terrible memory.
Hmm. Just about
For
your
some things,
past. Yeah,
it
for
it
some
for
things.
some things, yeah, if it's like, the Slan arriving on in the old world on the warp
Right.
ships, yeah, I remember all that, but my mum's birthday, no
Right.
chance.
Or the healing rules for Delta Green. Um,
That's no, it's not even just the healing rules, it's what's the names? It's Offset and San against,
yeah.
was it Willpower, isn't it?
Yeah.
When
No, I
we
mean,
we played Impossible Landscape, we looked it up every week.
every week. Nah, little inside joke.
So it wasn't
Yes.
just
This
me
is
forgetting it was everyone
no.
forgetting
It
it.
was all of us. It was any
Yeah,
time it was brought up, it was like, 4 deers in a headlight or 5 deers in a headlight, just like,
yeah,
oh God. Do you remember? I no. We'll look it up,
I
stupid.
know.
Oh, okay.
And not once did we think to kinda copy and paste it anywhere.
Just I mean, one time I was having such a problem, I literally like made it my background on my computer, and even then I'm like, oh God, I got to minimize everything. Fuck, let's just look it up. But yeah, so you had your downtime. Do you recall what it was that brought you back in, or what was the game that you played when you came back?
It was the offer of playing. Someone
It was
offered.
what? Oh,
It was
okay.
the offer. What it is, I bumped into a friend of mine, Ken,
Hmm.
who's a friend on Twitter still,
Yep.
and he just flat out asked me because Ken used to game with me years earlier, Kenny,
Hmm.
and he just flat out asked me, "You playing anything at the moment?" I said, "No, I'm on a kind of hiatus," and he went, "I've got a gang of mates who fancy running," and that's when I ran Night Below. And when I finished Night Below,
Hmm.
the group split up, and that was that. People went. It was like we just came together, did this campaign,
Yeah.
and at the end of it, we went bye bye, and then that was it. We were gone. Yeah, and then so I had a period then that was a bit of a kind of a downtime,
Hmm.
and then I picked it up again shortly after
Hmm. Okay.
with the group that is my current Wednesday group.
Right.
Yeah,
And they're awesome. Do they watch this kind of stuff? Okay, good. Well, then we can talk about them really. Um,
Mark Encyclopedia Rune Questicus. Mark is what a
yeah.
member of that group.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've known most of them like for 30 years.
No, okay. Yeah. So I mean, you've got you've got the ease and comfort. You're all within the same age. So
Yeah,
obviously, depending on the age that you're gaming, and there's certain obstacles that occur. There's the whole I've got kids, I've got a wife, I got a girlfriend, up to now where I've got an issue with my arm, and I got to go see a doctor. So can we reschedule for next week and
yeah.
so on?
As you get
Um,
older, you just fall to bits.
oh God,
I,
yes.
I was, I've said before, when I get out of bed of a morning, it sounds like a transformer unfolding.
Well, you want to hear something funny? I was looking at the old video that we did for Highway of Blood,
Oh yeah,
and it's this part of my beard was still brown. You've witnessed the graying of my
I
beard.
have.
This was
Watching
brown.
you on it's like a flick book of someone going old.
Oh God, and I
Yeah,
I was maybe I don't know. Let's see, maybe 10 or 40 pounds lighter. I don't know. I don't do the math, but so anyway, so you've had your reintroduction,
yeah.
and you start. Is it safe to assume that then you start? So I got a question. So during your downtime, was there a period where you've also did the whole I'm going to sell off some of this stuff? That I mean, you
I
do say
sold off. a lot of stuff.
A lot
Yeah,
of stuff. Okay.
I did this basically. It was me and my wife when we before we were married. We had a
Mhm.
two up, two down,
Okay.
literally 2 rooms down below, 2 bedrooms,
Mhm.
and I mean to call one of them a bedroom was frankly being kind. It
Mhm.
was like a giant cardboard box with a door in it. Um, and we had the loft up there. We had the loft boarded, and I had all my book. I had literally just boxes and boxes of books. And I think it was one day, like, my car broke down. I didn't have the money to get it fixed, so I went up,
Mhm.
got them down, and I literally went through every book and was like, "Am I going to miss this if it goes?"
Right.
And what I have left is about 15 books from
Oh.
literally having hundreds.
Oh, wow.
I had a
Oh,
full collection of the AD&D second edition, apart from what was that like strategy-ish one called?
oh, is it the battle something?
No, not battle system.
Battle system? No?
No, and you've got like box sets and books on like the houses.
Oh, the, Birthright.
Birthright, yeah, that was the only thing I never collected. I had
Okay.
everything, a full set of Planescape, full set of Forgotten Realms, all the Ravenlofts. I had everything, and I
Mhm.
sold it all off because I needed the money. And
Well,
I know today I could pay off my mortgage with what I had. So yeah, not my proudest moment, but I ended up with a small collection and I've built it up
mhm.
since. So
Yeah. And you've got some zingers in there. You've got a lot of good ones that have been built up over the years. So I got another question. So as far as your involvement within the hobby, you did mention that when you were younger that you wrote a letter to
Joe Diva. Oh, let me have
Diver.
it. Diva,
Yeah.
if you want to see it.
So while you're looking for that, I do got a question
Let's,
though.
let's see.
Yeah.
See, Joe Diva.
Yep. Oh wow.
Yeah,
That
don't
is a
ask.
collector's
Don't
item.
ask. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but you don't. We won't need to say. Uh, but did you have any other kind of? I know that was more like a fan letter, but over the years, did you have any other direct involvement within the hobby? Did you ever get any? I mean, have anything published on the low end? Did you get something
No,
accepted into any of the magazines? So,
no, never wrote to
nope.
them. No,
Hmm.
none of that. I used to
Okay.
buy White Dwarf back in the day,
Yeah.
occasionally.
Hmm.
I was just more an enjoyer of the games rather than the discourse.
Okay.
We used to play Blood Bowl till all hours. We used to try and play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but with the worst painted figures you've ever seen. Um, that was the whole discourse around the hobby it's only a recent thing really for me.
Right. Okay.
But I've found I've got a lot to say on it.
Yeah. Oh, you
So,
do.
and for some reason, some people want to listen. So I don't make the rules.
No, I get it. I get it, and it keeps growing. So you've had your downtime, but you've been reintroduced back into the hobby. You're
Mhm.
getting together with your friends, your Wednesday night group or whatever day of the week it may have been at that time. And I want to say, was there an itch began? And I would assume that would eventually lead to your channel. But what was the onus that led to that? I mean, it just
Um,
it's
I've explained this story to you before,
yeah,
but I will explain it for the purpose of this.
yeah.
Um, it was memory loss.
Mhm,
I had undiagnosed obstructive sleep apnea that was making me lose my mind.
mhm,
I would forget everything. I, I would fall asleep randomly throughout the day. Um, it was awful. Um, I would read books and then forget the rules. Although that doesn't excuse willpower tests in Delta Green because we all forgot. Um, and then after I've been treated for sleep apnea, and I still receive treatment to this day,
mhm,
it was like the only way I've described it before is it's like your windows get cleaned. Suddenly, you're
mhm,
not tired all the time. Things start sticking,
mhm.
and there's a certain period when I have really fuzzy memory of things. And basically, it was around about the time when the Delta Green Kickstarter started fulfilling. I think it was the Agent's Handbook.
Okay.
Um, and I read that and it all stuck. And I remember driving to our game with my friend Mark Rune, Encyclopedia Rune Questicus. Um, I'm talking to him about it, and I'm saying to him, "I think I'm gonna start a channel. I might start a YouTube channel." And he was like, "Yeah, you should do, yeah." So I started looking into it, and there was I mean, this is at a time with I don't think there were that many gaming channels back in 2017, not
It's
like there are
just
now.
mm-mm.
Um, and I'd always been a fan of Kurt Weigel, Game Geeks. I mean, that's one of the oldest ones out there, and that's been the target on my dartboard
Mhm.
the whole time I've been doing this, is to have more subscribers than Kurt Weigel. About halfway there.
Yes.
Um, and I did my research on seeing what the kind of thing people watched and the thing people liked, and then I came to the decision of not showing my face because I think it's unimportant.
Right.
I mean, as you know, I'm married, but I don't wear my wedding ring that much, and I certainly don't wear it on a camera because it's a distraction.
Mhm.
I wanted people to just listen to what I had, to the insight I had into the game, and listen to the review. And I remember getting my first subscribers.
Mhm.
It was, and I think it was my 10th subscriber was Mr. Mates from Chaos.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. Um, I had a really low subscriber count. I think it's because I reviewed RuneQuest Second Edition and talked
Hmm.
about it. And from there at that point on, it kind of every day it was going up and it was going up. And then they changed the rules on monetization. So you had to have 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
And that was very deflating. And at the time, there were certain people who messaged me. So I was tweeting saying, I'll just give this up. It's not worth the time and effort."
Mhm.
And there were some people mailing me saying, "No, just keep at it. You will
Mhm.
hit it eventually." And, it's also ultimately has paid off in many ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, the channel initially started as a way to talk about things I would have previously forgotten due to the memory loss I had due to sleep deprivation. Not the most exciting story around, but it's the most
Oh,
honest story around.
it's honest and it is interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, I would assume that not everyone who does this YouTube stuff just goes, I'm just going to do it because I want people to look at me,
I
or
didn't want
whatever.
people to look at me. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, well, they're looking at you now, bud.
Well,
And do you want me to pixel you out
sorry,
from this
sorry.
point on? From this point on, I'll pixel you out. 20 minutes into it.
It's because you use a voice changer on my voice as well.
I'll just, you know what? No, I'll
Darth
just have,
Vader, Darth Vader filter would be nice.
no, I'll call Neil and just have him overdub you. It'll sound pretty much the same. So, so your first video
Yeah.
is the derelict, right?
No,
Oh,
it's Delta
or
Green.
okay,
Right. The reason you can't see it is because I redid it a few years later
okay. So you
and
remove the
then
old one.
unlisted it. Yeah. So that will have
Okay,
been one of the first ones I did. But the
okay,
first one was Delta Green. So you're
okay.
going back on looking at my history and seeing the
I am,
Derelict as
yes.
the oldest one. Yeah.
Mhm.
There are others before that I've redone because I wasn't
Redone.
happy with them. Yeah.
Okay,
So the first one I did was the Delta Green Agent Handbook,
okay.
and it was 7 minutes long, which my intro is 7 minutes longer these days. So yeah,
So
I think I
uh-huh.
just chatted generally about it. When I did the Redux version a few years later, I went into it a bit more deeply,
Mhm.
as which is what people have come to expect now. When they
So
see one of my videos, is that a deep diver?
oh yeah, absolutely. No, I
Yeah,
mean, if you scroll up, it is like a clock going up. It goes 4 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and so on.
yeah.
But for the most part, I mean,
I don't know
you
when to
kind of
shut up is
get
the problem.
you don't. What? I
Well,
mean, I ca-
yeah,
I
I
mean,
saw your hour-long White Dwarf.
yeah, it's
I don't know how
asshole.
you can talk. I don't know how you can
I
talk and do it.
I don't know. I don't know how you can write a script and go
Well,
through
that's just
that.
good.
So,
I used to be
yeah.
an editor many years ago, so I can type and stuff like that. So
I mean, I know I could. I don't know. It's just maybe it's a ADHD thing or whatever. But so your first video is Delta Green, right?
yeah.
How long did it take to actually do it? I mean, so I assume your process then may have
Oh
been a
god.
little bit different, your setup
Oh,
and
it's very
everything.
different now.
Yeah.
It's
So
very
what
different.
was the
It was
original process then?
right. It was my iPhone 6
Mm-hmm.
on a tripod on the table,
Okay.
and I recorded the audio on my phone, then downloaded it to my laptop, that processed it. It was like listening to electronic voice from on it. It was that bad, hissy, and it was all sorts of terrible. And then I would, the same way I do now, I would synchronize it over my own voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain without showing you.
Yeah.
Bit different these days.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got like a lighting rig now. I've got an actual holder that you clip your phone into. In fact, I bought this for 2 reasons. See one of these things because it's got a screw-in connector there. See, so you can mount it onto an arm,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a
Its
light.
own light. Nice.
Yeah, so the light can point downwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking at upgrading it, and all the videos are in 4K and that now. And back then it was like 720p or something like that, which is all it was capable of doing. I think, I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great. That's why I've gone back and done reduxes of certain videos, because I look at them now and they're a bit embarrassing. The audio is terrible. I mean, you hear the audio on my videos these days; it's crystal clear, and it's got loads of EQ on it and things like that.
Right. And this will be a perfect time to roll the clip.
Hello and welcome to Bud's RPG Review, where I give my thoughts on role-playing games, card games and board games. Today's review is about the long-awaited Delta Green game, more specifically the Agent's Handbook. Let me preface this by saying I'm a huge fan of the original Delta Green RPG, and I've actively sought out and digested pretty much everything ever made for it. When I heard that Arc Green Publishing were planning to release a standalone Delta Green RPG, I was excited to say the least. I backed this on Kickstarter at the Get All the Books level, so expect to see reviews about them in the future. Okay, so to the book itself. The first thing that struck me was how they've flattened the original logo, moving it away from the original box design. I feel the box design looked a bit better, but I can live with it as it is. The second thing that struck me was the art on the cover. For me, it was a problem. I really don't like it. The original Delta Green had a really interesting cover, but this one, I'm just not sold on it. I love Dennis DeTwiller as an artist, and his art throughout this book is really good, but I can't help feeling the cover could have been better.
Okay, and we're back.
What
I won't
clip?
do that. of your first video, I don't, just whatever.
I can unlist it if you want to actually add something again.
Oh, sure, that'd be fine. If you're okay with it,
I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, okay.
Listen, I'm more embarrassed about the Toon video than I am that.
That's going nowhere. That's backed up on several servers.
God.
So you get through your first video and you start getting the views, and I assume you get the typical. You get some good feedback, and you get the other type of feedback, the YouTube commentary.
I don't get that much bad feedback, if I'm honest.
Really?
No. My like to dislike ratio is about 0.1%.
Really? Wow.
It's ludicrously low. My like. I spoke with Quest and Beast about this, and he said to me, I showed him the data on it, and he was like, "That is really low."
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's because I'm not opinionated necessarily until I come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And I try and be constructive when a lot of people, hatred gets clicks, sadly.
Yeah.
Whereas I try and be positive and say what could be better done, apart from 1,000 Thrones. Sorry, Mr. Schwab. At least I got to tell him that on your podcast.
He still hasn't responded to my apology. So, well, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I've got a few, but I've never really received, I don't think I've ever received any sort of like what would be considered a constructive comment that may be slightly negative. Most of the ones I get are the typical crackpot, stuff or whatever the case may be, that either just, I just ignore or just remove. But
if you get personal with me, it's a block from the channel. I won't lose a nanosecond sleep over it.
So you're doing these videos. How many are you doing? Like every couple weeks, every month?
Back then it was every 2 weeks. I think I was putting one out or something along those lines. I mean, some of them I struggled with. Like some of the Judge Dredd stuff was a bit of a struggle
Hmm.
because it wasn't very interesting. It was the original Games Workshop Judge Dredd,
Right.
but some of them I just burned through. And back then it was nice when someone sent you something to review,
Hmm.
and now I'm like, please don't send me anything to review.
No,
Like
you.
I got sent this.
Oh, barbaric. I have no
Yeah,
idea what that is.
yeah. Need to buy. Apparently, there's a first. That's second edition. Apparently, there's a first. The guy asked me to review something ages ago.
Yeah.
I think it was Cepheus, Sword of Cepheus, which you
Oh,
must have
okay.
heard of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time he releases a new book, he sends me one.
Oh,
And they're literally just piling up. And because he releases one every 2 weeks. Yeah, now it's just like, please stop sending me stuff.
I know.
I
I
mean, if
mean
it's
that.
something like Chaosium, I don't mind because that's stuff I
Right.
buy anyway.
Right.
And if you're interested, the Lightbringers is going to be the next video.
Hmm. Yeah. No.
Um, that kind of thing is fine because it's stuff I'm really interested in. But to have to sit down and learn another system,
Yeah.
I mean, there's the odd exception for this, like things like the One Ring and Dragonbane is there on my list as well to have to learn
Hmm.
because these are huge games now.
Right.
So, but the little and this is no disrespect towards the little indie gamers and all that,
Hmm.
but some of them write some odd things,
Yeah. And
just
and
like odd rules and odd ways of approaching things.
and you gotta. I think a lot of people need, that may not understand is, and I'm nowhere near in your category, but I do my own thing is, it's so much easier to review or go through something that you actually want to read or
Oh yeah,
enjoy, or you're expecting something of it, and that doesn't mean that you're going to give it a glowing review every time, but
no,
you're wanting to do it, and just somebody sending you something out of the blue saying, would you please review this? I didn't even know this existed. It doesn't
yeah.
look like something I'm interested in. Thank you, but it may or may not happen. I'll send it to Scott and he'll do an unboxing. So
Well, the thing is, I've got a couple of books there of excuse me of stuff that I've been sent, but I think after that I'm just gonna have to start saying no because the seeing the pile get bigger and me not working through it can be a bit disheartening,
all right.
and it'll
Oh, I-
put you off actually doing stuff. I mean, I've got a couple of Delta Green videos that I'm doing in part that I haven't finished yet, and there's like 6 seasons of Sartor. I want to finish that. There's loads of things I want to just finish,
mhm.
but that's not to say I won't give them a fair review because of course I
Right.
will.
Yeah.
You know,
So I'm going through your history here, and I'm seeing
is
a
this like a
variety of
police
things.
interview or something?
What's that?
Is this a police interview?
Oh no, this is the one where I'm trying to get you to secretly admit to a crime. Like that one video.
We know, we already know you've done it.
You're going to go
We've
to the
got
bathroom.
witnesses.
Can you take the mic with you to the bathroom, bud, so we can get a confession, please? But I'm seeing things. I mean, you've done a variety of things, and and I'm looking at like Cult of Terror Part 1 and 2 back when we actually thought 17 minutes was too long, so we had to break it up into 2 parts. But
The
and
thing
you,
is, it's the editing is the problem. The
yeah,
audio editing is a killer.
yeah. Oh,
But then I did Iconoclast Part 1, and that was 35 minutes. So,
mhm.
swings and roundabouts.
And you do have the typical, which is even the same for me. You do a video on Slaughter Margin, you get 930 views, but then you do one on 5e and boom, it's like 8,000, 9,000.
Oh yeah, but it's not the most. That's not the most viewed video on my channel.
Oh
Do you want to
no,
know what it is?
what is?
Warhammer starter set
Oh wow,
by
really?
miles. Yeah, by miles. And the video isn't even that good because I had glare on the page that I couldn't get rid of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Should really redo that, shouldn't I?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, another in baseball thing. One thing that you don't think of, but you tend to learn and discover is lighting is a bitch. When
Tell me
doing
about it.
books, it's it's
Shine. Yeah.
the shine, the glossy pages, and there's really no real way not to get it perfectly unless you have perfect lighting. And yeah, it is a giant pain in the ass. So your popularity is growing. 3,
Seems to be doing okay.
4 years. Yeah, and congratulations on getting over 8,000.
That
But
seems a small amount when you compare me to someone like Seth. But you know yourself how hard it is to get subscribers.
oh yeah,
It's ridiculously hard. And when you hit over 8,000, it's it's a different. I mean, 10,000 is my next thing. I'm going to skip 9,000. You know, like Microsoft and Apple.
Right.
Going to skip the 9.
So, but where does the videos lead you? I mean, your channel is popular, and these videos do tend to go in a lead to other things. Was there a particular thing that, as far as recognition or something that starts to come from these videos as you produce them?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
with the podcast with Griff,
Mhm.
because of all the work I'd done on Delta Green,
Mhm.
I managed to get Dennis Detwiller on,
Yeah.
and he knew who it was. And we're getting John Scott Tynes is going to be on soon, and Adam Scott Glancy, and
Mhm.
hopefully I'm going to ask Shane Scott Ivy and
Yeah.
Caleb Scott. Scott
Mhm.
joke. So yeah, I mean, even when I spoke to Adam Scott Glancy recently about Iconoclast, and he
Mhm.
knew who it was,
Right.
which
Oh,
is freaks me out a bit because these guys are some of my like literary heroes.
see, that's that's essentially what I'm asking about is, you it's open doors to talking to people that, when we were younger, were these names you knew of, but they were on the covers or they were in
Mm,
magazines, and they were untouchable,
yeah,
except through a fan letter or something to something on the editorial page that might get published or something like that. But there really wasn't any, hey, can we sit down and just talk about you and your life for a good hour or so? And
mm,
that would be just miles away. Um,
yeah.
but there's also another positive that came from this was at a certain point, you branch out to other things, and one of those things is you start to do what something that you self admitted that you really haven't done before is you start to create a game, an adventure,
Hmm.
and you've co-created this with Alex Giat, of which we know. And I don't think I've ever asked you this because I'm again, I have the inside baseball track of seeing it, its actual creation, and it's in its evolution to what it eventually became. But what was the actual? I mean, how did it come to? I mean, I know you had the idea, but what was the point from like, I want to do this and I'm going to get Alex involved? When did that? How did that come about?
You were there, Scott.
I again, gray beard, gray beard.
You might not have been, to be fair.
Mhm.
It was after a game of Impossible Landscapes, which is a
Okay.
campaign you played.
But still, there were
I
certain days where I
mentioned,
hung out. There were certain
well,
days that I
to,
hung
to
out.
give the audience a bit of context, um, I decided I wanted, in order to get me head around Impossible Landscapes to do the review because I felt it deserved it, I
Right.
wanted to run it
Hmm.
from start to finish. So I could say, if anyone said to me, have you actually run this? I could say, well, yeah, I have,
Hmm.
from start to finish. So I asked Pookie,
Hmm.
so I assume some of you might know.
Hmm.
Um, I asked Alex because Alex had been a long-term patron of mine for my Patreon, and I'd reviewed the pipeline for him, and I enjoyed it. It was really quite the design and everything for someone who's an amateur designer is just so good.
I know.
Alex is so good at that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I asked Keith and Scott, the Titterpigs, as you know them now. It's not how I know you, Scott.
Right. That annoying asshole who hit me up online and made a stupid tune video. But go on.
Well, besides that, and
Right.
that night it was after the game one night. You might have had to leave early.
Probably
To
I
be
tend to
fair,
had to do that because
I
it's in
think,
the
but I think you
afternoon.
were there. I think you just forgotten.
Okay. Maybe it'll
I
be okay.
mentioned, well, to cast back even further, for one of the grog meets, I ran a liminal scenario about a group of ghost hunters
Right.
journeying to an island in Scotland to investigate it so they could
Mhm.
hit 1 million subscribers. And Marco was played by you,
Yes.
and you were the definitive Marco, and
Great.
you played him to the hilt. Um, so anyway, we
Yeah.
we were after the game, we were chatting, and I mentioned this scenario, and Alex kind of went, that'd make a really good Miskatonic repository, like do it for Call of Cthulhu. Do you fancy working on that?
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And it just kind of went from there, because I think it's and this is advice I would give anyone if you're going to write for something for the Miskatonic repository, is only write stuff you believe in. You know, whenever I see these books like 250 cantrips, you know, people are just putting stuff out there just for junk, and
Right.
it's gonna sell like junk to a large degree, I think, at least.
Mhm.
And I think that, based on the fact that me and Alex wrote a scenario together, that's nearly double platinum
Yeah.
on Miskatonic repository. I think there's only one book ahead of it, which is the Solo Investigator's Handbook
Yeah.
in sales. So I say that as someone who wrote something they believed in, and then I was right to believe in it because it was worthwhile. And with that, it came about. We spent months on it. I think we started it in the October, and we released it in the April the following year. We
Mhm.
went through many iterations of play testing. Yeah, and that's how that came about with Alex.
Yeah.
It was just a
Yeah.
case of, it was just an offhand comment talking about the scenario I'd written.
If that's how it works, because I mentioned to Alex I wanted to do a Fear and Loathing 1970s Las Vegas game. He said, "You know what? That might be a good idea, Alex. You better not find someone else to do
His
this." That's
internet's not good enough to watch this.
I know.
You know, his internet is like moose powered. It's
Uh,
terrible.
well, the
It's
good thing
terrible.
is the good
We
thing
live in
is
cities. He lives in
uh,
like the wilderness or the jungle or something. I don't know.
I mean, he has a grass roof,
Well,
or had one. So I don't know.
say no more. He's got crocodiles in his backyard or something.
He lives crocodiles in his bed.
It's all swampland around where he lives.
There's no
Anyway,
All
we're giving
right.
too much away about his secret
Yes,
lifestyle.
exactly. So, and to be honest, it was a steady climb. I mean, the game went gangbusters, but you guys did a lot of promotion. You did a lot of play testing, and there was
Yeah.
a lot of sharing amongst the game. It wasn't. I mean, the game itself is not. I mean, it's Call of Cthulhu, so instantly, boom! Anyone who knows Call of Cthulhu rules, they don't need to, learn something new. The game plays well. You did add
Well, because it's
a
familiar.
redux. Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
runs naturally, and that eventually led to, as the game started to get more and more popular, a wonderful moment at Gen Con, where you were congratulated by.
I don't want to talk about this, God.
Okay, fine. Cut. Boop. No, but no, you did get it. You did get a lot of well received accolades for this, and it's leading to you guys who did a recent game that's you're going to be wrapping soon, a version, or inversion. So inversion.
Yeah.
I know that.
Wait till you see it. Wait till you see the book.
Oh yeah.
It is top drawer beautiful. Because Alex has been working on the Guide to Carcosa, and he said he's learned loads since he's done it. He's going to try and apply some of those things to inversion. He sent me pages of it, and it looks like a professional production.
Right.
You think Chaos Team had done it?
Oh wow. No, he is superb.
Oh yeah,
that's without question. I mean,
weirdly, I had a meeting with Alex last night to talk about inversion, because I've got the next playtest coming up. I've got 2 playtests left, and then we're so sick of it at this point that we just want to move on, because we're following it with the sequel to Viral.
Oh, I mean, if you own a copy of Highway of Blood, and you have the full version of Adobe that allows you to edit a PDF or whatever, turn on editing, and you can move some of because it's not just a scan. Each image in there is its own layer, and you can move stuff. You can move some of the words and stuff out of the way, and the imagery that he has behind there. There's some hidden stuff in there. I mean, it's not just random crap just thrown in the background. There's a reason for all the stuff he has back there, kind of not unlike the Delta Green books.
Like Impossible Landscapes and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So then are you still good? Because we've been talking for an hour, but
I'm fine.
I've still got a couple more things to do. So so you have this wonderful sex, Jesus Christ,
What?
success.
Oh, it's been a long time.
with viral, and viral is still going to be a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or is it going to be more?
Undecided as yet,
Undecided. Okay, well,
though
that's good.
probably yes.
Okay.
Because we've already kind of thought about the ending to the second part, and the second part is not what you think it's going to be.
Okay.
So,
all right. So it's not going to be like the last 3 Star Wars movies where they had no idea what they were doing.
oh no, we certainly have for the second one, and we've kind of
Right.
the strands of things we've mentioned offhand for the third one.
Right.
But the whole idea of it is that you can play the 3 scenarios. But the big problem is because you could play viral as a one-off, or you can play it as potentially part of this trilogy of scenarios that we're writing. However, it's trying to work out how to get the second part to be runnable on its own without having
Okay.
played the first part. That's the challenge for this one,
Right.
because it's not what people think it's going to be.
Okay.
We've already discussed the ideas and thought that's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be what people think it's going to be, and all will become clear when you see it.
Nice. That sounds ominous.
In a good way, you'll still enjoy it. We've just got some good ideas, which is part of the reason why we're pushing to get Inversion out, so we can draw a line under it,
Okay.
get it released, and then really delve into. Because there's something I noticed when I was, because I've been running viral for the Tuesday group, and Scott Dorwood's one of the players.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Oh yeah. No.
And I've been running that, and I noticed something on one of the character sheets which neither of us can remember writing, and it's really like out there what we've written. And I said to Alex, "Did you write that?" And he said, "I don't remember writing that." I said, "Neither do I." So we're a bit like, but
yeah,
that's all for the sequel. Which I think with the sequel we are really geared up to write this. So I don't think it'll take as long as Inversion. With Inversion, it's mechanically there's a lot of moving parts to it, which is why it's taking so long. And the first iteration of it didn't work.
Oh wow. Okay. So so it was back to the drawing board.
So we've had to go back and rewrite the beginning because the beginning was too much of an info dump.
Oh,
so we've had to rewrite the beginning. But we had to talk about it last night. We've got it straight in our heads what it's going to be, and then there are a few mechanical things. But yeah, it's but it's not like viral where you can play it and you could potentially run it in one night. I've run it one night once, sorry, twice. This one is like a 5 or 6 session.
Okay. Oh,
game.
okay.
So it's not like a
All right. So again, this your channel has led to great things. The meeting of good things. Well, I mean, you have a widely popular adventure out there that everyone enjoys. You were able to go to Gen Con and get some praise from people from Chaosium.
I went to Gen Con for free. That was the best thing.
And you went to Gen Con for free?
Yeah, I got a free ticket because I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah, see, and
not complaining.
I exactly. No one's complaining.
I will be there next year if anyone wants to come up and say hello. Still to throw it out there.
Well, you'll now be able to recognize him.
Can you blame me? Is it too late?
Yeah, that's him. But yeah, so it's and the only negative thing that I think that has come from your channel is just that one tune video. So that
where's my agent?
But so what's coming next? I mean, you did say that there's a couple things you wanted to do with your channel, and you've talked about the games that you have. But before I move to that, another thing that you decided to do was Budding Griffs gaming creep show. And I know this was something that that you guys kind of bounced around for a little bit, but
for about 2 years we talked about it.
Yeah, but eventually led to the creation of it.
Yeah,
absolutely hilarious. I mean, you and Griff bounce off of each other like a rubber ball on a wall. It is great.
It's
And
only great because Griff says outlandish things and I laugh at them.
you just shake your head and laugh.
But honestly, he
Uh,
cracks me up every time we do it because he's
yeah.
so serious with everything he says. When he
But
talks about sending the Crimson Bat to Wolverhampton. I mean,
I heard that.
if you're British, that's really funny.
But that has also led. I mean, even your podcast has led to something fairly exciting, and I don't know if you can you mention it here, or are you saving that? I don't know if you said that on the podcast or not, or if you just said it to us.
That I was trying
Yes.
to. Oh no, we have talked about it on the podcast. Yes,
Okay.
we had a real parapsychologist on, CJ Roma,
Mhm.
who's also a gamer. He games
Mhm.
every night of the week.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think apart from the night they did the podcast.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
he games most nights. He does a lot of play testing for Pelgrane because his
Mhm.
girlfriend works for Pelgrane.
Mhm.
And he offered to take me and Griff to a haunted place and do an investigation with us. And
Mhm.
we can record it, and then I'm either gonna create a channel and have one video on it, or I'm gonna upload it to my channel.
And
The
it's
idea is,
uh-huh.
which is partly the reason I bought that
Mhm.
as well, because you can put your phone in it,
Yeah.
and you've got lights, and you can not like that. I mean, that would look stupid walking out like that, but you've got lights, and but the idea, and we're getting Sue Savage. Sue is a gaming pal of
Mhm.
ours. You know Sue.
Yep.
And she's a member of the organisation ASAP, which CJ Romer is the chair of.
Mhm.
And ASAP is like a paranormal investigation association in Britain.
Mhm.
Covers all the kind of full gamut of UFOs and everything, anything unexplained, I suppose. And CJ's offered to take us on a ghost hunt, and we asked Sue if she'd be interested in coming, and she said she'd love to. So it's going to be me, Griff, CJ, and Sue
Mhm.
going somewhere to do an investigation. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
And not to spoil it, and I'm not going to say any details, but you did talk about this place you're going to us a little bit, and it sounds like the first few paragraphs of someone going into Innsmouth. So I hope you guys make it out.
But to be fair, we're undecided whether I'm actually going to go that place. I don't think we
Oh,
will, because
okay.
I can't mention the place
Right.
because
Yeah.
CJ basically said don't.
Don't.
I'll tell you about it face to face, but
Mhm.
he said there's a genuine and real danger of going there.
Yeah.
And that's before you get to the haunted bit.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay. so I'd rather not die
Right.
on the way to
Exactly.
finding ghosts.
You don't even get to the haunted place.
I'd be the ghost.
Right. So what happened? Bud stepped out of the car and someone threw a brick at his head, and that was it.
Yeah, along those lines, yeah. No, yeah. So hopefully, the idea is everyone's going to record on the phones. We're going to. I remembered I've got an old camcorder with night vision,
Mhm.
so I might even take that. It's not an on the shoulder one; it's like one of those ones.
Yeah.
So I'll have me rigging one camera like that, looking in night vision. And we're going to record it. They're going to send me all of their footage, and I'm going to edit it together like a documentary,
Mhm.
and put it out as a, the haunted place or something like that. And with the four of us.
Oh, I am excited and jealous for that. And this is
You can always get the plane over, Scott.
What's that?
You can always get the plane over and join us just
Oh
for the
no,
one
I'm not
day.
going someplace and have a bunch of people, throw bricks at me.
You live in
Yeah.
America. Everyone's got guns.
Oh well. So yes. So now that we've covered budding gifts, God damn,
Budding gift, yeah.
I cannot talk today.
GIF
I know it's
animated.
sorry, it's actually Bud and Jiff. My
GIF, yeah.
apologies. So anything else coming from the show outside of it? I know you've got that doing, but anything else coming from your YouTube channel? You mentioned earlier, but something that you haven't mentioned yet that you're looking forward to doing.
Yes. I'm
Okay.
going to be doing my first face to camera videos.
Oh,
I'm going to do a guide to running Impossible Landscapes, having been someone who's run it and read it
mm-hmm.
to death and written about it and recorded
Yes.
about it.
I'm glad you have.
So I've written most of part 1, the Night Floors. I'm not going to cover the history because there's not really much point. You're either going to remember that stuff or you're not.
Yeah.
But I think some people would a bit of guidance with things like the Night Floors might help. Having ran it for you guys, that's a plan at some point, maybe this year or next. I've got other things I need to get out the way first,
Right.
and they're going to be Patreon or YouTube member only videos.
Right.
They're never going to be public. You have to if you want to watch them, you'd have to join up. It's only $1 a month, for God's sake. You know, you get to watch all the other stuff I have free, and you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
plus, I play test with my patrons as well, as you know.
Yeah, exactly. God, only $1 a month. Huh.
Yeah.
So for only $1 a month, you'll be able to see everything that I've edited out of this video. Sorry, carry on.
No, yeah, so that'd be kind of a longer term plan.
Right.
I wanted to leave Impossible Landscapes for a bit, having put so much into it and taken a break from it, and then come back with it and look at it with fresh eyes. Regards to books, I'd like to do The Enemy Within, but we're playing it at the moment, which is it's beneficial in a different way. Yeah, other than that, just kind of keep on doing what I'm doing.
Plan for a trip to Gen Con.
To improve the quality as much as I can. But the big thing really beyond that is the writing.
Yeah.
I mean, the podcast's fun.
Yeah.
But I would trade neither of them in for the writing. I wouldn't trade the writing for that, and I wouldn't trade in the channel for that.
Right.
I mean, Viral paid for me to go to Gen Con, bear in mind.
Right.
So, you know, when I got to meet you and Keith and everyone else face to face.
Exactly.
And get drunk with Seth Skolkowski.
Oh God! And did you see that he's going to join in and play my peanut butter and jelly game at Gen Con?
I did see that. Yeah, he actually said this sounds like something for Gen Con, didn't he?
I got to write one. Shit. Yeah. Well, Bud, this has been pretty much normal for us. This is kind of how we carry on for the most part on a weekly basis. But I do appreciate you coming on to my channel and spending some time to talk about yourself, which is great because I know you, but I know a lot of people don't. And I know a lot of people are just interested to know about, the man behind the hands and kind of get to know you a little better. So, so thank you so much. But before you go, I'm going to steal a little something from Budding Griffs Gaming Creep Show, and I'm going to do Would You Rather or with you before you leave.
Go on.
Okay. So, stuck on a desert island. Would you rather have 1,000 Thrones with you or Toon as the only game you have available to play?
1,000 Thrones.
Okay.
Toon would lead to suicide. I think I could improve the 1,000 Thrones. That's the thing. See, the thing is about the 1,000 Thrones, when I ran the 1,000 Thrones, I ran it as written.
Oh, okay.
I didn't make any adjustments to it. Toon is just subjectively self-harming material. So 1,000 Thrones is the answer to that.
Right. Kevin or Steve?
Look how paid you are that I'm thinking about it. Obviously, Kevin.
Okay. So here's a doozy.
Go on.
So 1 million subs to your channel,
but
you lose your hands and have to do your video with your feet. Or hold on. Or 1 million subs, but you have to relive the Gen Con Space 1889 every week for the rest of your life.
Is there a third secret option where I can just kill myself instead?
I mean, that's always an option.
What if I attach false hands and just like turn pages like that?
Well, you're going outside the realm of the game,
Okay. 1 million subs and Space 1889.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Because there's so many things you can't do without your hands. Come on.
Right. But just
my piano playing days would be over.
But just, that guy in the kilt showing up at your door every Friday. You ready, bud?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the dice. This dice does. Yeah, we know. And then if you roll 2 of those dice, so yeah, we get it. We know. But when you roll 3 of them, oh, but we know. Yeah. And then
Oh,
Pawny McRed Hat.
just
Gen
yeah.
Con next year, he's going to be in one of our games.
Oh, absolutely. And but we're ready this time for him. We
Oh, yeah.
know how to handle him. And then finally, Scott or Steve.
Scott.
Fair
Look at your
enough.
little self-ego tickle
I
there.
know. Well, I mean, that's why I'm having you on. I'm trying to get some of your subs.
I haven't got that many. You should have had Seth on.
Oh,
He can spare a few.
oh, I mean, well, no, I'm saving that for the peanut butter and jelly game because I mean he's going to endorse that once he plays it. I mean,
Seth would absolutely come on for a chat.
that's
He loves
instant
it.
Kickstarter.
He's a whore for these kind of things. He loves it. He actually said that himself. I'm not misquoting. He said, "Oh, I love that guy. I love going on people's podcasts."
I think I found my first interview YouTube short. Thank you, bud. Well, we've been talking for well over an hour, and again, I appreciate
not really
you.
well over an hour.
An hour.
It's a bit over an hour.
15 minutes. I mean, but who's counting besides my wife standing off camera and wondering when I'm going to be done? But no, I do appreciate. I do appreciate you coming on this. I mean, a lot of the stuff I obviously I already know. You've shared this with me over the years, but still, I do appreciate you coming on and opening up. This has been great. I mean, this is kind of why I'm doing this. I'm having a little bit of fun with this channel, and it's these interviews are nice. And it gives me a reason to actually talk for an hour rather than try to turn a 25-page White Dwarf into a 45-minute video.
You don't seem to have a problem with that, to be fair.
I mean, I don't, but still, you
Bear in
don't
mind,
have.
this is the person that did 8.5 hours on Mastodon Lathatep. You did one magazine of White Dwarf in an hour. I did the entire Mastodon Lathatep in 8.5 hours.
Could you imagine me tackling one of those?
It'd be the end of time when you finished.
You remember those old books on tape? There'd be like 50 tapes, and there'd be like 18 volumes, like the Bible on tape.
The Hobbit,
right?
On cassette.
Exactly. That would be me doing. I don't know. But anyways, I digress, as I always do. Obviously, for those who don't know who you are and they've been living under the rock, there will be links to Bud's channel and his podcast there, and likewise links to Viral. Please check those out if you are unaware of those. Each one of those.
You've got an affiliate ID, though, haven't you? That's why you plug it in. Fair enough. I don't mind. I've made so much off.
God, you've just pulled the veil over all of this. I mean, Scott Malthouse didn't pull this bullshit.
I just knew the fact that he's putting a link in. Definitely got the affiliate ID on it.
So this has been.
Listen, if it gets us to 2,000 sales, I don't mind.
No, fair enough. I mean, hell, I still need to get up to 1,000 subs here. So if this gets me up to that,
it won't be long. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So this has been yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. Thank you all for spending time unboxing. Fuck. Thank you. This is why we need editors. Interview. And see, but it still falls in line. It's completely unprofessional.
One of us is listening, Scott, and it isn't you.
I know. Interview. And thank you for joining me and Bud and kind of witnessing just how we normally converse.
This is like a normal Friday night.
This is like a normal Friday night. So everyone take care and have a wonderful day. And I will talk to you real soon.